Hello everyone and welcome. This is Angelina and I would like to thank all of you for joining us here today for the Smada World Opportunity webinar offered by Next Level Africa. We have quite a bit of information to bring you today regarding the exchanges, and we may touch on a bit of information on the C-Wallet as well. We'll also be including a general overview of where we're at with NLA. As usual, we'll be having the Q&A at the end where you are welcome to ask questions covering all things Smada World related. Please remember though to hold all of your questions and comments at that time. So a big thank you to everyone joining us from the various parts of the world and in many time zones. We so appreciate your consistent attendance and participation. Now with that, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you our presenter for today, Mr. Noel Adams, the founder of Next Level Africa and our CEO and leader of the Smada World team. Welcome, Noel.
All right, look, I'll get straight to it so that we can cover what we need to cover, and I'll just basically touch on a few things there to so that we can understand where we are. As you know, some of our alliances that we're working with in the way of BCN and UPB. Well, BCN, look, I think that we can all understand, because every now and again I get people questioning me about it, but you need to look and see where they've been, because in the last 12 months ago now, Bitcoin was $20,000 a coin. It's now just gone under the $4,000 mark. So it's an area out there that we really have to be aware of that, and that's presented a bit of an issue. Plus the mining is certainly a lot more energy required to mine without a result there. So we're just keeping an eye on it. Everything's still working okay with it. There's no issues with it, but we just want to make sure that it goes in the right direction so that we can advise members where to go with it. UPB, look, they're still having some technical issues out there, and I'm not sure where we are with it, but there's some things happening within our organisation through Smada World that's going to help them greatly. So I'm sure we'll be able to speed that along a little bit, but they are certainly trying to get it completed out there. And I know the story with technical issues out there, they can be an absolute nightmare. So UPB is still coming along, and they will eventually get their site launched as well out there. I just want to briefly touch on Frega. Frega is for those of you that have joined into Frega, and once again it's a free sign up into Frega, but they've opened up what they call Frega Hub, and Frega Hub is where they will run the social media system through it. They're in tests with it at the moment, so you're limited to what you can do. But for those of you that can log into your Frega account, I would suggest have a look at the Frega Hub and maybe just consider boarding in for the time being, because the more people we get boarded in when we're ready to go with it, we'll be able to advise you what to do. So the area is that with the likes of Frega, we have got direct contact with their technical department, so we're working with them to get this completed, because eventually when they sort this out, we'll be able to run webinars directly from the Frega platform. So they're running Zoom, so we'll be able to use Zoom, and so we'll have a little bit more flexibility. And with Web Talk out there, just to cover that, I believe they're having lots of issues there, because I think there's probably as many spammers and hackers and people involved with that than there are genuine people. So they need to get onto that out there. So any of us out there that have accepted requests, you can delete them if you feel that it's a spam, and or if you simply unfollow them, their posts won't go onto your newsfeed. But in Frega, we just see it as being a cleaner way that we can do a blast out to do our posts, because we can put people into groups and manage it a whole lot better. So once again, if you want to register into the Frega hub, and once again it's free, you're all any that have signed up into it have just got it as part of their back office system. But don't do anything further, because they're still working on getting things completed, and we'll go over more as we go. The other thing too, it's become a major issue, and if anyone is familiar with this, but in South Africa they've got major electrical issues in there. The electricity company have gone bankrupt, and they started off with a few hours here and a few hours there with no electricity. Now it's daily, so they've got 4 or 5 hours a day where there's no power. And South Africa is our hub. It's where our development team are based. So they are the hub that London, Hong Kong, Japan, Los Angeles, and obviously Australia link in through that hub. And they've been having major issues with getting things completed because of this electrical issue. If anyone wants to look it up out there, you'll see what I'm talking about over there. So this has been going on now for the last couple of weeks, and I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but we're going to have to try and do something to... we don't run any of our servers through the South African group. It's just our development team are over there, and they link in with the global group that we have. Also too, look, there are things like we're going to start revisiting some of these, because as we move closer now to getting things completed, we're going to be revisiting our magazine to see when we can get that listed out there. I'll be talking with the editor so that we can work something out to have that completed and have a clean magazine. I just wanted to make sure we got a lot of things completed before we started on anything else out there, because I don't want too many loose ends. We've got enough going now. Another thing that we have done as well is that you may not even see this, but it's happened in the background, that we've separated the technical stuff from CEX and GEX, the Jingling coin and the NLA coin, because that was causing it. The banks see it as one, that they see the whole thing as one. But whenever Jingling got a sniffle, we finished up with pneumonia. So we've separated that now, and that's why you would have noticed a substantial increase in the coin value overnight, and that's a couple of that's about 2 lots of 2 weeks in there. So they've put, and now that we're on the $21 billion in the asset account, the bank have fulfilled what they've told us that they will do, putting 20 billion into the asset account in 5 years, and they've certainly done that. But I'm not going to go into detail about what's coming with it, but when I do this, we've been in negotiation with the bank about this now. You'll see where the asset account value on what's been put in there and the new deal that I'm doing with the banks will make that just look like small change. It's a very, very large deal, and we're looking to do a lot of things out there. We're going to be looking at building our own e-commerce site and our own social media platform. And just to add that in as well, I have been in talks with the owner of Frega, the CEO, and we are both monitoring and looking at where we are with what we've got going, but we could be looking at doing some sort of joint venture. There's nothing that's in concrete yet, but we're both very open to see what we have there. And look, Frega are looking to have 1 billion members over the next couple of years. So aligning ourselves with that we feel that we've got something rather special. And I have been able to share a little bit about what's going on with the management of Frega, and they can see where the alliance there would be beneficial to everybody. When we finish up releasing what the deal we're doing with the banks, I'm telling you now that there won't be anybody on this planet that won't want to be part of what we're doing, because it's just an incredible value-added product that we're going to be adding to, that's totally new. I haven't brought it into play yet, but once we do, you'll see that the benefits on what we're doing is just going to be astronomical. NLA with the lines, look, that's been the issue at the moment with this electricity issue going on over, and you can't factor these things in, and factoring them in is quite a, who would know that the electricity company in a country is going to go bankrupt. And so we're getting on top of that now. Just that they're getting that far behind with some of the things that they're doing, that they're playing catch up. When it does come on, they've got people working all night to catch up, because when their power goes off, they're really in a mess. I mean, they're going to have to put in some pretty serious generators to run what they need to do, because they run a staff of about 40 programmers. So you need a fair bit of energy to run that. So we are working on that, and we're coming back to it. So I hope to have that back online again, to be able to we haven't been able to get into the back office to complete some of the tasks we need to do. So we're hoping to get back onto that in the next 24 hours or so. They did tell me to be corrected. But look, we get told about things that are happening out there. I get told time and dates. I've been given 2 times and dates that the coin value would go up, and both of them were missed. And but it was to do with linking the exchanges back in again, or CEX back in. So they had to run a cron to get the thing sorted, and once that was done, then everything was linked in. So you'll see that it's all working again, and the programmers are extremely happy with what has happened there. And as you see there, that the coin value went up $52 now, so we're just nudging on that. I did make mention that I felt the coin would go up to the $300 mark, and I want to make note that that investment, or the money that's in the exchange, is not the investor's money at this stage. So that's got to be added to it. So there'll be another $3 billion be added to that. So we'll be up around the $24 billion in the asset account. And so now we won't be receiving any more money from the bank as far as added to the asset account. But the new deal that I've been able to do with the bank on there, which is finalising a few things now, will certainly more than cover what we're doing in the asset account. I can't say too much more about it now, because I will say too much, and I want to make sure I don't do that. That's the coin value. Now the investors, look, they're still there. There's been a schedule proposal put to them, and they're in the process now of having to get their legal teams to sign off on that. Once they sign off on it, just to help the whole thing out as well, our development manager will be going to Los Angeles to assist with anything they need to do over there, so it's smooth for them as well. So they're just in the process now of getting that. So once they've signed off on that, our development manager will go over there. So we're hoping this is only going to be another couple of days, and we'll have that rolling along. But once the investors money goes in there, you'll see the coin will go well over the $300 mark, and I think that'll be a good thing for us as well. Well, look, that's really all I've got to cover with the updates out there. We are working. Look, it's probably a little bit like this to explain my position with what's going on here. I am not the expert in any field out there at all, and it's, if I can compare it to building a house, I'm wanting to have the house built, so I then engage architects, builders, painters, plumbers, electricians, landscapers, and then try to coordinate with all of these people to bring it together. And as you know, if you're building and the larger the project is, the longer it can be drained out. And we've had projects, building projects, and that's what that is, because this is not being bought off the shelf from the chemist shop. This is something that's been purposely built for what we've got going here. The coin has been something that has come along later. When we first launched Next Level Africa and the coin came along, we decided to look at, because getting merchant facilities set up through crowdfunding, it's virtually impossible. It's an extremely hard thing to do because of the fraudulent activity that they're concerned about. So that's why we had to look at getting our own currency out there to manage this, and it's just gone from strength to strength with the bank behind us on what we're doing. And so when this whole thing is announced out there in a press release on what's happening, then it will certainly draw the attention from the rest of the world. The bank, look, I say this with respect to the bank and the bank people. The crypto world, for me and the people I work with out there, our development team, has become something that's second nature to us. The banks are really not that up to speed with crypto. They're into fiat currency, the currency that they just allocated a huge amount of money to some people setting up the fish farms out there, because the amount of fish in the oceans is decreasing, so they wanted to help out with that. So it runs into the absolutely billions of dollars that they've put into that. They can see that out there. There's no issue once they've got, but they don't necessarily see the big picture in the crypto. It's something that we've had to make sure they understand where we are with it, and they certainly are listening, and that's why we've got as far as we have. So you know, it's as I said, that bringing this together, coordinating it, it's like we have people there that are involved in intricate detail on what they do. I'm not that person, but when I need to understand any part of this, I can go in with somebody and then work on that particular section of it. But my job is to look at the overall picture to make sure it all comes in together. That's why some of these alliance partners in the way of Frega and WebTalk, this is not something that just decided on the spur of the moment. That these are people that will run and I believe be beneficial to us, and will be beneficial to them as well. So, all right, look, that's really all I have. If anyone has any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. So, because I've still had to hold some of this back a little bit, but some major announcements will be made to do with this new deal that we're doing with the bank, and that will come in very, very shortly. All right, I'm going to hand this back to Angelina to coordinate any other questions there. And once again, thank you very much, everybody, for attending.
Thanks, Noel. Yes, it was really nice to finally see that bump up in the coin value. Quite a jump it was, for sure. Okay, so There are a few questions that we have coming in. Yeah, it's been a great update. And I think there's quite a bit of information, or quite a number of people, pardon me, quite a number of people, Noel, first of all, calling for when will our coin, our NLA coin, be listed on the blockchain. You'll see that in that there are quite a number of questions asking that same thing. So I think that would be the best place to start, is replying to the people that are asking, when will our Next Level Africa coin be added to the blockchain? And I'll hand you back the mic. Thank you.
Oh, okay, yes, look, I forgot to mention that. That's what we've done. We've just set up a server to manage that, and so that's all been put in place. I don't know if you remember, but I did make mention, I actually paid to have the coin put onto the blockchain. It's probably about 6 or 8 weeks ago now, but because this is what the issue's been, that the technical team have been working on the two of them in order to have this. Now that we've separated the NLA from Chingaling, this will be done a little bit quicker. So we should see the coin being listed out there on the blockchain very, very soon. We've had to set up the server to manage it, so we've done that. And so now it's just a matter of them linking that in. So hopefully we should see that. Look, I'll find out from our development team there as to when that's going to happen, but it's getting very, very close. All right. Barry's asking there, must have missed something. What is Frega? Look, Barry, we'll drop the support email in here for you to get a link to it, or if you have upline somewhere there that you can go to, you can get it from them. But Frega is just another social media platform. It's also a banking hub as well. So there's a lot of things going on in there. It's a shopping, loyalty rewards. It's too involved for me to even talk about it. There's video. They're putting 21 videos in there very, very shortly, and so a lot of it will be explained in there. But we just feel that the social media side of it's going to be something worthwhile, that they will be a little bit of a very nice platform to use. So anyway, you can once you register in there, you can have a look around. They're still adding things to it. It's still not completed out there. They've been building it now for about 6 or 7 years. So as I said, have a look around in there. I've got a few more questions coming in about the blockchain, so I think I've mentioned that they're still doing that. That'll happen. Frank's asking me there why the NLA coin goes up in value when the rest of the cryptocurrency world loses $90 billion in the last month. Well, that's the value of our coin. It's backed by the bank, and it's probably a little bit too involved to go over now that Frank, but the bank have been putting 20 billion into our account. There's no other cryptocurrency that's had that. I mean, that's not the sale of the coin. That's just to back the coin. So you'll find that now that we've got a few things in place, our coin, I don't believe, will ever go down. When the likes of Bitcoin was released, had no use. Bitcoin came out there, and it's all dependent on supply and demand. That's it, in a nutshell. Ours, when I brought out initially the Chingaling coin, it had a use. it was to be used as stored value in the NLA, so that it would be $1. We would form an asset account, and that would be a simple way, but it just exploded overnight. The banks wanted to take over Jingling and become part of it, and they're talking about throwing billions of dollars at us. No other coin has got the backing we've got. You'll see that as we start rolling some things out there. There's no coin that will ever match the NLA coin, and I include Jingling in that as well. I did cover the investors there when I was talking there before with Michael, that we're waiting for them to sign off on the scheduled proposal, and so that's something that's being done now, and our development team will go over there to assist them on whatever they need to make that as smooth as possible. Tom's asking why there's no increases in the Chinga. The wallets, it's not linked. They're working on that now. That's why we separated from, otherwise we'd have been in the same boat. But I think that when you see the Chingaling, when the wallet's completed and that's linked in there, I think you'll see the Chingaling go over $1,000. It'd be quite substantial. So that's why, and we would have been the same boat, would have been sitting there lost, because we were linked to it, but now that we've separated, we'll be independent. Yeah, I think I'd let you know that we're back onto line 6. Well, completing line 6 has been a slight issue there, so we're about to complete that out there, and then we've got line 7 ready to go in. I just need to do a couple more things on line 6, and then we'll be putting line 7 in there. Nigel, no, look, the investors have got nothing to do with the South African problem out there. No servers run through South Africa, so anything that we do in the way of internet stuff is in the servers and the coin exchange. Next Level Africa, our servers are in Canada, so we don't have any worry with electricity problems in South Africa, apart from communication. That's all we're lacking, their communication. Look, I've covered that. Michael's asking about the investors. I have covered them, and so it's all in their hands now. Their legal teams are signing off on the schedule, so we should have them at any moment now completing what they need to do. Okay. Look, John, I'm not 100% sure on what blockchain it's going on to, so I'll confirm that when we know exactly the wallet technical team. They look after that, so I will find out exactly which blockchain it's going on to when we've got it going there. Angelina's put the support for anyone that wants to get a link to Frega. It's certainly worth looking at it, because just by signing up in there, you'll become part of the ecosystem and receive payments from sales that are going on. They've signed up people like eBay and Amazon, and have some major retailers they're talking to out there that will become part of the Frega network. No, the investors don't need to wait for the coin to be listed on the blockchain, no. Once again, Stephen's asked for the debit cards. Once we now have that in place, we'll be certainly looking at that. With the debit cards, that is also something that comes through from the banks to do with the exchange. They will be looking after the debit card part of it. So, and that will run onto both exchanges, CEX and GEX. I mean, there are certain components that we can't get away from. The banks look after the KYC component. The banks look after security on both exchanges. They manage a whole range of things, and so these things have to be done with both. But as far as the any activity that goes on in there, we're separate, technically separated from anything that's happening. We don't have to wait for Chingaling to be fixed in order for us to have the NLA coin running properly. It's hard to say what the coin value the investors will pay, but I'm sure that they'll pay more than the value of 290. You might find that it's hard for me to put a figure out there, but you might find it's 300 plus. So it's hard for me to say exactly, but you'll find that they will go over because they've got to clean all the coins off the exchange. But they'll only go to a certain limit, and then the market maker will add the coins the investors want to buy to the asset account and to the exchange. The press releases on the are not reliant on the investors out there with it, Stephen. So the press releases are all to do with when they get everything linked, and the press releases are really coming in from the Chingaling component. And so once they get that released out there, I mean, I still have to go to the States on the allocation of funds for our humanitarian out there. So once I get the okay to do that, they'll be very close to doing press releases, I should imagine. Phil's asking, will we see money from the investors before Christmas? Look, I certainly hope so out there. I mean, it's very hard. If I put a time on it, it comes back to me that I'm the one that's put a time out there. I only go by what's been given to me, and I work from there with it. And a lot of times now we won't put time schedules out there because people hold us to it, and it's really not to do with us. Who could have factored in that the electricity company would go broke in South Africa? So there are just things that come up when you run something like this out there. I mean, people working with each other, people are dummy spitting all over the place, and there's just a lot of conflict between and personality clashes between the security people, because the different levels of security, it's just too involved. I've had to walk away from some of the conversations because they become extremely frustrating when you deal with the human element behind anything. James asking, will we see the investor 3.27 billion into the CX or the coin under the blockchain? It doesn't really matter. They're not linked, so whichever one comes first, it doesn't really matter out there. We want them both to happen, but it doesn't matter. One's not relying on the other. I've covered the lines out there. We're working on that now, so we're doing everything we can to get line 6 completed. We have not been able to touch it for 2 weeks now because of this problem with Next Level Africa. They've had an issue there that they've been trying to fix. They're working on, because the exchange had to be linked to it as well, because everything that we do in Next Level Africa is linked to the bank. The bank know everything that happens, every coin that's involved with Next Level Africa and the values, and so they've had to link all sorts of things. We've had to set up more servers to manage the withdrawal, so we're making them live very shortly, so people will be able to withdraw coins from Next Level Africa, but we had to set up these servers to do that, so they're working on that at the moment. How are the investors going with getting set up to trade live wallets? Well, that's look. They're being looked after by the banks group and by our technical team. So whatever's going on there's 430 investors, so they're looking after them. Then was the withdrawal from NLA accounts to the NLA wallets delayed because no, nothing to do with that. It's just there's things going on in the background. We've had to set up the servers to manage because it has to be a server that looks after each component. Otherwise, it's if you have one server looking after the whole lot, it'll just get jammed up. So each server looks after its own component. I'm not sure what you mean, Marlene. Will line 5 come back soon? I'm not even sure what that means. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of actually our Brisbane airport here in Australia is the first airport in the world that is now accepting cryptocurrency for payments as well. So it's certainly becoming mainstream. When will I be going to America to sign? Well, as soon as they tell me it's ready to go over there, we're off. And Miles has just added there that Friega's various provisions are coming from what is a financial services ecosystem rather than from banking. If so, financially emancipating communities, one community at a time. So that's look, Friega is something there that it is a complicated system, but once you set it up, it's not complicated. But to try and explain it, you just need to go in, and they'll have a lot of video explanation on it coming in there. John's asking when I can tell you when NLA and CX are 100% operating. Well, you've asked for two. NLA and CX are two different things out there, so we're working on getting the lines. Once all the lines are in, then NLA members will be able to sign up. New members can sign up in there and it'll be operating there. CX, well, look, there was just a trade of 6,000 odd duck in there, so that's trading all right. People can withdraw funds from there, so CX it's probably not 100%, but it's as close to it as we're going to get. No, look, Magni, we have worked out an easy way to do it. It's just that what's happened with this freezing on the site, not being able to go in to complete line 6 has really slowed us up. But there is an easier way that we're going to be doing this, so the other lines will go in rather quickly. So so it's certainly not going to be anywhere near the time we're talking about up to this point. Chris is asking me to give an estimate. All I'd be doing would be a guesstimate. You know, I don't want to be held to any time. I've told you what's going on there now, and so once they complete their legal team, I mean, I'd have to get in the heads of their legal team. Once they sign off on that, the proposed schedule, that's all it is, of how it will run and what will happen on their purchasing and how their money will be put into the accounts, because they've got to put money into each individual's account in CEX, because you've got 430 independent people purchasing. Oh, you're talking about, well, that's what I mentioned before, that the whole system is, all the tools are missing. Look, they've been working on, the banks have been working, linking the NLA coin system to the whole of the wallets, and also to CEX. So that's really where they've been working on that. So the financial section of NLA has been taken down, so they'll be putting that back up now that the exchange, everything's linked there, so we'll be able to get in work on that again. Okay, you're asking me how long it takes for, just asking how long it takes for withdrawals from CEX to get to our accounts in Australia. Well, it's generally with any withdrawals overseas, you've got a 3 to 5 day, I think generally, that business days it takes to do it. So whatever that, the money's got to be taken from the asset account, goes into a holding account, and it's just distributed out from there. But just make sure that when you do a withdrawal, it's at least $250, because there's an issue if people do it under that. We've had people try to withdraw $1, so it just throws it into massive chaos. There's a massive cost for someone to take $1 out and put it, because it'll work out how to put it back in there again. Okay, look, I think I've covered most of the questions there, and look, we try to keep the webinar down to under the hour, so it's not so intrusive on people's time to listen to the webinar. But we are certainly moving forward with what we've got there. I mean, even though you may not see it, this is a massive juggernaut that every part of it is just a massive movement out there on getting things completed. The amount of departments that are involved with this, because there's hundreds of people involved with this. This is not just a small band of people. There's hundreds of people globally involved with anything that goes on here, legal teams and technical teams, administration teams. So we're just trying to bring it all together. All right, look, I'm going to hand this back to Angelina now. I do want to thank everybody, and look, we will get the time before then, but I do want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, and hopefully we get this investors on the move. But the NLA coin, believe you me, that when I tell you what deal we've just put together, the investors that you're seeing there now is just going to be a small component of what we're doing. What's coming up there now, you'll start to see some incredible movement through the exchange with the coin, and it runs into, if I say any more, I mean, if you're getting shot, but it runs into 100 times what we're talking about with the investors. I'm not saying any more, but it certainly runs into massive amounts of dollars that we'll be seeing flowing through the exchange. All right, I'll hand this back to Angelina, and thanks very much for everyone for turning up, and I look forward to the next webinar. Bye for now.
Thank you, Noel. Wow, thank you so much for all of the questions that people are asking. I have dropped in the general support email address just so that people will have it once again. Reply to nextlevelafrica@gmail.com. Margaret, we did go over about registration in NLA as to when we'll see that happening. It will happen once we get the lines completed for the upgrades. No, we don't have a time on that. Anyway, thank you everyone for joining us today. Have a good day, have a good evening, and we'll see you soon. Thank you again. Bye for now.